My blind date offered me $5 million to be my boyfriend. I thought he was some kind of eccentric millionaire, but then one day he decided to break up with me. He claimed he wasn't good enough. I was about to argue, but then he added, "I mean, all I really have is money. Seriously? Being wealthy is, quite frankly, the most attractive thing about you." After my third terrible blind date this month, I met Riley James. He looked around 22, maybe 23. He had legs long enough too. Make any woman swoon, and hair perfectly styled like something out of a Calvin Klein ad. He exuded total trust fund baby vibes, except his eyes were sweet and wide. Like a teenage golden retriever who hadn't quite figured things out yet. He sat across from me, unblinking, and slid a check for $1 million across the table. He said, "Be my girlfriend." I just stared. Was this guy completely unhinged? He misread my silence and pulled out another check? If that's not enough, here's $5 million. Okay, confirmed. Rich, clueless, and totally out of touch with reality. Are you serious? You know this is a date, right? I nodded slowly. So am I worse than the other guys you've met? Shook my head. Then why not? His brow furrowed. Not enough money? I sighed and picked up the checks. I mean, you're offering me this much just to be your girlfriend? He nodded earnestly. Yeah, I laughed, slipping the checks into my purse. Deal. He paused. Any contract terms? Fine print? His eyebrows rose. Wait, I can set conditions. Of course, this is a paid arrangement. Gotta make it official. He hesitated, then blushed. Can I stay with you, excuse me? His ears turned red. I don't really have a place right now. If you don't mind, can I move in? Was this a trick? How was this wealthy kid homeless? But hey, you don't look a gift horse or $5 million in the mouth. I forced a smile. Sure, move in. Turns out he wasn't faking it. He really was clueless, rich, and absolutely over the top. Our very first day together, I was at work when I got a flood of texts. "Nina, I replaced your furniture. Also bought you a dishwasher and a dryer and a new laptop, plus a smart home robot. You're welcome." I came home to what looked like a West. Elm catalog had exploded in my apartment. It was sitting on the couch like a golden retriever waiting for a treat, beaming up at me. "Nina, you work so hard, I just upgraded it all. Is that okay?" I cleared my throat. Yeah, it's fine. Free is always fine. You keep calling me Nina." I started to ask how old he was, but my phone rang. It was my boss. "There's a client file due tomorrow. It needs fixing tonight. You're staying late." God, I sighed and turned to Riley. "I have to work late. Play on your own tonight." He blinked at me like a confused puppy. "Your boss gave you more work?" "Yeah," I grumbled. "Total pain." He asked what company I worked for. I told him. He nodded, looked it up on his phone, and said, "Okay, I'll buy it." "Buy what?" "I'll just acquire the company. That way, you're the boss. No more crap from anyone." Holy. Am I dating an actual heir to an empire? Okay, even if you're rich, you don't need to go that hard. Seriously, Riley, just hand me the money. Don't go buying corporations. I kept calm on the outside, but inside I was screaming. Then he held up his phone. "Should I call now?" "No," I snapped back to reality. "No, calls. Riley, we need to talk." He obediently put his phone down and sat straight like a soldier awaiting. "Orders!" I crossed my arms. "All right. Who the hell are you, really? How old are you? Why me? Why buy me furniture? I try to buy my company." He blinked. "I'm Riley James. I'm 22. I want to date you. I bought you things and the company because I like you like me." I narrowed my eyes. "Have we met before?" "I've seen you before." He nodded. "But this is the first time you've met me. You're the girlfriend I handpicked," he added. "And I really, really like you. If you wanted the moon, I'd figure out how to lasso it. I'm just some random corporate drone. Why the hell would this billionaire in disguise go full Disney prince on me?"
"Nina."
"Don't overthink it," he said, with a smile so sweet it made my knees weak. "I'm not trying to manipulate you. I just like you." He dropped his gaze. "Money's all I've got. Who says stuff like that?" The following days were strangely wholesome. Every morning I woke up to fresh coffee, eggs just the way I liked them, and Riley grinning like a Labrador retriever in a hoodie. At night, he'd jog with me, cheer me on, offer post-workout smoothies like some boyfriend fantasy. No arrogance, no I own the world billionaire nonsense, just this Torich, too handsome. Man who looked at me like I was magic. Then there was this. One day, nearly noon, I was about to order DoorDash when my phone buzzed. "Nina, did you eat yet?" That soft, syrupy voice of his melted straight into my spine. "Not yet." "Why?" "Might made you lunch. I want to bring it to you. Cooks too." "Great." I glanced out the window. The sky looked ready to fall apart. "Don't worry about it. Just eat at home. I'll order something." "Okay, pause. I just kind of miss you." God, what was this man? A walking romance novel? "All right, fine," I said. "Heart? Skipping. Come by, but bring an umbrella?" "Yes, ma'am. See you soon." I barely hung up when thunder cracked like a gunshot and the sky opened up like hell. I started texting him every 5 minutes, worried sick. 20 minutes later, I'm downstairs. I bolted. Down to the lobby. There he was, soaked, holding a thermal container, umbrella, tossed aside like it was an afterthought. His eyes lit up when he saw me. "Nina, over here?" His hair dripped onto his cheeks, eyelashes clumped with raindrops. "Jesus, Riley, why are you drenched?" He laughed sheepishly. "Wanted to see you faster. Those puppy eyes." He didn't even know how dangerously attractive he was. The rain didn't stop all night, and like every rainy night, it was perfect for sleep. I was out cold until I felt someone near my bed. I shot up, heart pounding, and there he was, a shadowy lump of Riley. Crouched next to my bed like a 5-year-old afraid of the boogeyman. "Riley," I snapped. He smiled sheepishly. "Can I sleep?" "Here tonight, Thunder. I hate it. Who's the boyfriend again?" I opened my mouth to kick him out, then remembered the literal millions sitting in my bank account thanks to him. I sighed. "Fine, get in." Should have known better. He wasn't scared. I pretended to be asleep as he slowly inched toward me. His fingers, cool and deliberate, touched my pajama top. I grabbed his wrist like a trap snapping shut. "Not tonight," I said, dead serious. He froze, then softly muttered, "Okay." We lay there in silence for a bit until he whispered, "So, when would be okay?" I groaned. "Shut up and sleep." He shut up, surprisingly obedient. The next morning was a Saturday. I woke up alone, bed cold, silence, eerie. Thought maybe the entire night was a fever dream. I rolled out of bed, opened the door, and there he was, sitting on the couch like a kicked puppy, head down, lips pouting. "What's wrong?" I asked, rubbing sleep from my eyes. He looked up, eyes glassy. "You don't like me, do you? It's 8 a.m.? Why am I getting guilt-tripped already?" "What makes you say that?" I asked, trying not to throw a cushion at him. "Because you wouldn't, cuddle." "Where I come from, if someone won't cuddle, it means they don't like you." I blinked. "Where you come from?" He froze. He fumbled with his words, avoiding my eyes. I mean, that's just what people say around here."
Yes.
That was definitely not what people say around here. Now, I was curious. "You sure you're from around here?" I asked, raising a brow. He panicked, cheeks red as hell. "Oh, of course. You forget." I stared. He looked like a kid caught stealing cookies. Right when I was about to press him more, a phone started ringing from his room. I frowned. First time I'd ever heard it. He rushed off, looking like he was about to puke from anxiety. But when he tried to answer it, he just kept poking at the screen like someone who'd never used a phone. "Slide it," I called out. "Right. To answer, all right, thanks." He looked ready to combust from embarrassment. And now I was starting to wonder, was he seriously not human? Because no one born after 1980 should be that confused by an iPhone? After the call, he zipped back in. "Hey, I have to run an errand today. Be back later." I leaned against the doorframe, eyeing him like a cat. "All right, just don't disappear on me." His whole face lit up. "You'll wait for me to eat dinner together?" I said I would. He grinned like I just told him I loved him. "Cool. I'll be quick then." He zipped out the door like a man on a mission. It wasn't gone long before a man showed up downstairs asking to meet me. Said he was Riley's father. I agreed to meet him at the cafe on the corner. "Hi," he greeted with a nod. "You must be Nina." "I am," I replied, calm and unbothered. "I mean, I was dating his billionaire son, might as well own it." "Understand my son is staying with you and dating you, correct?" I reached into my purse and laid the checks on the table. He gave me $6 million. He didn't even flinch, just raised his hand. "That's not why I'm here." I blinked. Okay, not the usual leave my son or else scene. Instead, he pulled a leather folder from his briefcase and pushed it toward me. "Take a look." I opened it. Property deeds, stock portfolios, cash accounts, all under Riley's name. "What is this?" I asked, stunned. "If you're okay with it," he said smoothly, "sign it." I stared at him hard. Was this a prank? But his face didn't move. There was no twitch, no smile, nothing but that steely businessman stare. "My son's an adult. He can give his assets to whoever he wants," but he added, "We have a rule where I come from. Once we imprint on someone, there's no switching. Riley's simple, loyal to loyal. So, we're moving everything into your name in case he screws up. At least you're covered." I literally had to blink to make sure I wasn't dreaming. I whispered, "Did Riley agree to this?" He didn't answer that, just stood and said, "Accept it." "That's enough." Then he turned to leave. "Wait," I called after him. He paused. "You and Riley, what do you really?" He smiled, polite but unreadable. "He'll tell you when he's ready." Just like that, he walked out. I sat there for a while, staring at the documents. Then I took them home. I was still holding that thick stack of legal documents when I got into the elevator, watching the numbers climb. I felt weirdly hollow. Who just signs over everything they own to a woman they've known for, what, 5 freaking days? Ding. The door slid open and my heart nearly stopped. Riley was kneeling at my apartment door, gripping the handle like he was about to collapse inside. I dropped everything and ran. By the time I reached him, he was curled up on the floor, shaking, gasping like he'd been sucker punched in the ribs. "Riley," I dropped to my knees, fumbling for my phone. "I'm calling 911. He blinked up at me, eyes glassy. One hand reached out and clutched the hem of my coat. "Nina, it hurts." Jesus Christ. What did he get himself into? Was out cold. When we got to the ER, I paced like a maniac until the doctor finally came back with his charts. "Any idea what's wrong with him?" I asked, bracing myself. The doctor squinted at the numbers through his horn-rimmed glasses. "Nothing major, but his hormone levels are a bit abnormal." "What kind of abnormal?" He cleared his throat. Might cause discomfort and intimacy. I blinked. "Okay, that's personal." He kept saying he was in pain. The doc frowned, scanning the results again. "Does he have a medical history I should know about?" I shook my head. "Not that he's told me." "And let's keep him here for observation a few days." As I headed back to his room, I couldn't shake the feeling something about Riley didn't add up. Not just weird rich kid energy. I stayed in the hospital room until long past midnight. Riley didn't stir. The monitors blinked steadily beside him, their rhythmic beeping the only sign he was still tethered to this world. I watched his face, pale and peaceful in sleep, and realized something that made my stomach twist. I was scared. It's not because I thought he was dangerous or unstable or secretly some con artist running a game on me. No, I was scared because for the first time in a long time I cared, and I didn't understand why. He wasn't my type. He wasn't part of my plan. It was chaos wrapped in silk pajamas. But still, he was mine. Or at least he said he was. Around 2 o'clock in the morning, I finally left the hospital. I needed sleep and answers, especially after the visit from his father. The file with Riley's entire net worth was still in my purse like some kind of magical, cursed treasure. The next morning, I returned to the hospital. Riley was awake, propped up in bed with a juice box in one hand and a crossword puzzle in the other. He looked up and smiled when he saw me, and I could swear he glowed. "Nina," he said softly. "Jew." Came back. I set my bag down and crossed my arms. "You scared me again?" He lowered his gaze, guilt creeping into his features. "Sorry, I didn't mean to worry you." I pulled up a chair, ready to start answering some of the million questions. He hesitated. Do I have to? Yes, you do. Because I just met your father and he tried to sign over your entire life to me. Riley blinked. He did what? I pulled the folder out of my bag and slapped it onto the bedside table. Explain this. He stared at it for a long time, then reached for my hand instead. My dad's old-fashioned. That's not an explanation, Riley. He looked down, chewing his lower lip. Where I come from, when you choose someone, it's permanent. We don't do breakups. We imprint. It's like he paused, searching for the right words. It's like binding. Once I decided on you, my family assumed it was done. Permanent. So they transferred everything to you. It's a gesture of trust. My mouth went dry. And if I'd said no, he smiled faintly. He didn't. I sighed and leaned back. Riley, none of this makes sense. You act like a human golden retriever 1 second and the next. You're making billion-dollar decisions like they're coffee orders. What aren't you telling me? He squeezed my hand, then looked up at me with those wide eyes, serious and soft. I'm just not sure how. Start simple, I said. Where are you from? I hesitated. Then slowly he said, not here. I blinked. It's not here. Like out of state, out of the country, or not Earth. Silence. I stared at him. Not even a blink. Not even a twitch. You're joking. He shook his head. You're an alien, not alien like you're thinking. I'm not green or slimy or from a flying saucer. It's just from somewhere else. Parallel. You could call it another dimension or universe. It doesn't matter. We're human, just different. I stared, stunned, my mouth open, then closed again. And what exactly brought you here? I asked, half expecting Ashton Kutcher to jump out with a camera crew. You did what? Riley smiled. But it was sad. I came across a crack, a way through, and I saw you. Not directly, more like glimpses, impressions, and something just connected. I knew you were it, so I came here. Stood up, pacing, trying to make sense of anything. Let me get this straight. You're saying you came from a parallel universe? Just to date me? He nodded very seriously. That's the most ridiculous ... Maybe, he said gently, but it's the truth. I sat back down hard. Why me? He looked at me like it was obvious. 'Cause you were real. Everyone else, they felt scripted, like characters in a show. But you were raw. You were angry. You were tired. But you still kept moving. You reminded me of home. That made me go quiet. I didn't know what to say to that. Compliments I could handle. Even insane wealth. But this kind of reverence, it rattled me. So your dad's from your world, too. Yeah, he's here now, watching me, making sure I don't screw up. He glanced toward the window. It's not thrilled that I told you. In the pain? He looked away. The transition between dimensions. It messes with our biology. It'll pass. Rubbed my forehead. So what now? He looked at me with a strange intensity. Now you decide. You can walk away. Keep the money, the documents, everything. I won't stop you. Or you can stay, and I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make you happy. I stared at him for a long moment. Said, I need a burger. He blinked. What? A cheeseburger? Extra pickles? If I'm going to process alien boyfriends and interdimensional imprints, I need grease. He laughed. Deal. 2 hours later, we were on the hospital bed sharing fries. Watching reruns of sitcoms on a tablet and pretending the world made sense, but it didn't. Not really. Not when you found out your mysterious billionaire boyfriend came from another universe and chose you because you weren't perfect. Later that week, Riley was discharged from the hospital, returned home with me, same as always. But now, every moment felt sharper. The way he watched the rain fall. The way he tilted his head when people laughed on the street like he was. Absorbing everything, cataloging emotions. One night I woke to find him sitting on the windowsill, staring at the moon. You miss it? I asked, sitting up. He nodded. Sometimes, but then I remember. It's not the place I miss. It's the version of myself I was there. I came here to become someone else. And who's that? He looked at me. Yours. It's just like that. I couldn't fight it anymore. I walked to him, curled up beside him on the sill, and whispered, "Fine. But if I find out you glow in the dark, I'm out." He laughed. "No glowing. Promise." And for the first time in what felt like forever, I didn't feel alone. Not really. Not. With Riley James, the billionaire boyfriend from another world, curled beside me like he belonged there. Because maybe, just maybe, he did. Riley moved in for real after the hospital. I say for real because now there was no more pretending he was just a clueless, sweet, rich boy. Now I knew the truth, or at least part of it. He wasn't just rich. He wasn't even just eccentric. He was from another world. And still, he insisted on making pancakes every morning and kissing my forehead like I was made of stars. Every so often, I'd catch him staring out the window, watching birds or kids playing in the courtyard. His eyes would grow distant, like he was seeing something else layered over this world. "Is it that different?" I asked him one night, lying on the couch while he massaged my feet like it was the most normal thing in the world. "What? Your world? The place you came from? Is it better?" He paused, pressing his thumb into my heel. "It's not better, just different. Everything is cleaner, more precise. We don't waste time. We don't have accidents. There's a system for everything." I frowned. "That sounds exhausting." "It is," he admitted. "That's why I noticed you, because I'm a walking accident." He smiled. "Because you weren't pretending to be okay." Something about that hit too close to home. That week, Riley insisted on throwing a dinner party. "For what?" I asked, squinting at him over my laptop. He shrugged. "You've never had a party here?" I thought it might be fun. I stared at him. "You want to throw a party in my 2-bedroom apartment that smells like takeout and dryer sheets?" He nodded. "Exactly." I laughed. "You're insane." But he was already tapping at his phone. By the time I finished an email to my boss, he had already ordered a catering spread, scheduled a cleaning crew, and somehow upgraded my furniture again. New curtains, new chairs. There were scented candles that cost more than my monthly rent. And then the guests began to arrive. At first I thought they were Riley's friends, but each one of them looked off, too perfect, too polished. They moved through my apartment like they didn't quite understand how gravity worked. Who were these people? I whispered to Riley. He grinned. "Colleagues? Sort of from your world?" Nodded. "Should I be worried?" "Nope," he said cheerfully. "They just wanted to see you." "See me? You're the first one of us to imprint with a local." A chill slid down my spine. "And what exactly does that mean for me?" Riley took my hand and pulled me into the kitchen, away from the murmuring guests. "It means they're curious. That's all. You're not in danger, I swear." "That's not exactly." "Reassuring when you say it with a smile like that," I muttered. Riley's eyes softened. "You're not a science project?" "You're important to me. That's why I wanted them to meet you, so they could understand." "Understand what?" "That you, a glowing $5 million boyfriend from another dimension, imprinted on a cranky office worker who eats cereal for dinner." Then one of them approached. A woman with ice-white hair and eyes that shimmered like liquid metal. She didn't look at me like a person. She looked at me like a puzzle. "You're Nina," she said. Her voice sounded like bells and wind chimes. "I guess I am." She tilted her head. "Strange, so ordinary. But you changed everything." "I didn't ask to," I said, standing straighter. "That's why it worked." She walked away. I turned to Riley, who looked sheepish. "I told you they were a bit weird. A bit one of them just said I destabilized the cosmos with my sarcasm and caffeine addiction." He laughed and kissed my temple. "Welcome to my world." Later that night, after the guests had gone and the apartment was quiet again, I curled up beside Riley on the couch. "You really meant it," I said softly. "Meant that you'd give everything up just to be here." He looked at me like I hung the moon. "There's nothing over there I want anymore. And if they make you go back, they won't. I have protections. And now that the imprint is established, it's even harder to reverse." I blinked. "Established?" He nodded. "The moment I knew I loved you, that locked it in. It's not just a feeling, it's binding. Real, They can't take it back. My mouth went dry. You love me? He blinked. I haven't said that yet. No. Oh, he looked nervous. Then slowly he leaned forward. I love you. There it was. Not whispered, not dramatic. Just a truth spoken like it had always existed. Respond immediately. I couldn't. Was too busy trying not to cry. Eventually I whispered, You're insane. He smiled. After that night, things began to change. Subtly but undeniably. People at work started treating me differently. Nicer, friendlier. I didn't get random last-minute assignments anymore. My boss stopped yelling. One day I came in to find that my entire department had been restructured and I'd been promoted to manager. Riley, I asked when I got home that evening, did you have something to do with this? He looked innocent. It's too innocent. Maybe you bought the company, didn't you? Technically, I transferred controlling shares to your name, so now you own it. I stared at him. Riley, you deserve better. I didn't know whether to kiss him or strangle him. We argued. We never fought. Not the yelling, dramatic kind. But I started drawing lines. You can't just buy your way into solving every problem in my life, I told him. He nodded. You're right. But I can try to help if you let me. So we compromised. He got to spoil me a little. I got to keep my independence. We were a team. It wasn't always easy, but he tried. And so did I. Then came the press. One morning I woke up to a camera flash through my window. Paparazzi headlines screaming, Mystery Billionaire's secret girlfriend exposed. Pictures of us walking through the park. Me holding coffee. Him laughing at something stupid. I wanted to scream. Riley, I shouted, holding up my phone. He came jogging in, toothbrush still in his mouth. Why are we in the news? He peered at the screen, then shrugged. Guess the media finally caught up. How did they even find us? My father, he said simply. He wants to test you. Test me. How? See if you'll run. See if fame or scrutiny scares you away. And if I do, he looked down. Then he'll say he was right. I groaned and fell back on the bed. Your family sucks. They mean well, he said gently, in their own warped way. That day I didn't go to work. Instead, I stared at the screen. Hundreds of articles, forums, conspiracy theories. Some people thought I was an AI. Others thought I had blackmailed him, or even rumors I was a spy from another nation. Riley, I whispered, this is too much. He took my hand and kissed it. You can leave, Nina. I won't stop you. You can take the money, the assets, everything. Just walk away. I looked at him. Really looked. I saw the kid who didn't know how to use an iPhone. The guy who replaced my broken laptop without being asked. The boy who brought me soup in the rain just because I forgot to eat. I didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but I knew this. Not going anywhere, I said. He smiled, eyes glassy. Then neither am I. And that was the moment everything changed, because now the whole world knew about us. And something told me that was only the beginning. The first time I realized things were spiraling out of my control was during a press conference. A press conference. I had never even stood on a stage before, unless it was for a 5th grade spelling bee. Now I was suddenly sitting beside Riley James, my ridiculously gorgeous, interdimensional billionaire boyfriend. Like firecrackers around us, reporters shouted over each other. Some addressed him, some addressed me. Most just barked questions into the chaos like hungry dogs circling meat. Miss Nina, were you aware of Mr. James' wealth before dating him? Did you know he was from another world? You carrying his child? Wait, what? I choked on air, head whipping toward Riley. He looked just as stunned as I was, but he masked it quickly. He leaned into the mic. Nina is not pregnant, he said calmly, clearly. And if she were, it would be none of your business. Gasps, clicks, more flashes. The question had been a test, and Riley passed it with composure. I didn't. No, he had, but I was boiling. When the conference ended, I stormed off the stage and into a private lounge backstage. What the hell was that? I snapped, pacing. Riley closed the door behind us gently. I didn't know they'd ask that. You knew this would happen, Riley. The moment your world caught wind of us, we were going to be dissected. I thought I could protect you." He stepped closer, hands raised in surrender. "I thought I could keep the worst parts away." I stopped pacing and looked at him. "Then you were wrong." His shoulders sagged. I didn't mean to be cruel, but the truth was, I had been. Spiraling ever since the cameras found us. Ever since his father's people began shadowing me at the office, blending into meetings, asking too many questions. Ever since my bank account ballooned to numbers I didn't know how to interpret. The worst part, I hadn't asked for any of this. Not the money, not the fame, not the fairy tale. All I wanted was quiet, peace, maybe someone to eat takeout with on a Sunday night. Riley stepped closer, pulling something from his coat. It was small and silver. Square device the size of a coin. "What's that?" He hesitated. "A shield. Personal. Field generator. My kind uses it when we feel under threat." I frowned. "You feel threatened. Not by you." He shook his head. "By them, the attention, the expectations. I've been followed since I was a child. Watched, measured, judged. They always wanted to know if I'd be a worthy successor." I sat on the couch, suddenly tired. "Successor to what?" Riley exhaled. "My family isn't just wealthy. We're rulers, Nina. My father is the sovereign of our region, like a king, but with more surveillance and less ceremony." I blinked. "Your royalty?" He nodded once. "And you left that behind for me?" He knelt in front of me. I didn't leave it behind. I risked it all, and I'd do it again. The next morning, we woke to a swarm of black SUVs outside our building. I tugged the curtains aside and gasped. It's men in suits, tall, silent earpieces. "Riley," I called, was already up, fully dressed, eyes focused like a soldier. "They're here." "Who?" The order he didn't need to explain further. By the time we got downstairs, they had already set up a perimeter. The building's concierge was nowhere in sight. Neighbors peeked out from behind doors and curtains. A man stepped forward. He looked like Riley, but older, sharper, cold in the eyes. "Your Grace," he said, bowing slightly. "I'm not royalty here," Riley replied calmly. "You're still heir. You know the protocols." I stepped forward. "Excuse me." "Hi, Earth Girl here. Someone explain what the hell's going on?" The man turned. "To me, Miss Nina. She's Lady Nina," Riley cut in. "If we're doing titles?" The man's lips twitched. "Apologies, Lady Nina. Your presence has disrupted balance. There's unrest on our side. Your connection to the air has triggered political concerns." "Political what?" I asked, blinking. "I'm just a girl, not trying to overthrow kingdoms. Or whatever." "That's exactly the problem," the man said. "You don't have to try." "Enough," Riley snapped. "You came to warn me. You've done that. Now leave." The man bowed again, slower this time. "We won't intervene, but understand this. If you fall, she falls with you." He left without another word. We stood there in silence. "What does he mean?" "Fall," I whispered. Riley's jaw tightened. "There are people who think I betrayed my bloodline by choosing a local, a commoner. I'm not even from your world. To them, that's worse." I sat on the steps, head in my hands. "This is a nightmare." He knelt beside me. "Then, let me be your dream." I stared at him. "Come with me," he said suddenly. "Where?" "Home, your world." He nodded. "Just for a day, I want you to see it, understand it. We never go back. I don't want secrets between us anymore." I hesitated, then nodded. We left that night. Riley activated the passage in the woods behind the old observatory. It looked like a shimmer in the air, like a heat wave without heat. One step through, and I felt like I was being pulled apart and stitched back together all at once. We arrived in a city of glass. Buildings hummed with soft energy. The air smelled of lavender and ozone. People moved in quiet harmony, their clothes shifting color with their mood. "It's beautiful," I whispered. "It's yours if you want it." Riley took me to his childhood home, a towering palace carved from crystal and stone. Inside, his mother waited. She was elegance personified. Long white robes, hair woven with silver threads, eyes sharp as frost. "You are Nina," she said. "You are human." I nodded again. She studied me for a long time, then finally, "Good," I blinked. "That's it." "She's better than expected," she told Riley. "You did well." Riley blushed. Later, she pulled me aside. "My son chose you against every rule of our world. I do not pretend to understand love, but I understand legacy." I waited. She handed me a small box. Inside was a necklace, simple, with a single glowing gem. "This will bind you to him for protection. For truth, if your feelings are not real, it will shatter." "Great," I muttered. "A loyalty lie detector." She smiled faintly. "Think of it as insurance." I returned the necklace to the box. "I'll wear it, but not for you." "For Riley," she nodded. "That is acceptable." Before we left, Riley took me to a quiet hill overlooking the city. "You still want this?" he asked. I didn't answer with words. I kissed him instead. Hard, long, real. When we stepped back through the portal to my world, I wasn't the same girl who'd first met him at that blind date. I wasn't just Nina anymore. I was someone bonded to another world. And soon, I'd find out that meant far more than I ever imagined. Everything changed after the trip to his world. At first, it felt like magic, like we'd stepped through a dream, and returned stronger, closer, more united than ever. Riley was lighter, smiling more, holding my hand even when no one was looking. I found myself smiling back without thinking, responding to his touches like they were the most natural thing in the world. We had passed some sort of test. Peace never lasts, not when power is involved. The first sign of trouble came 3 days after our return. I walked into my apartment after work and found Riley sitting silently in the dark. The curtains were closed. The lights were off. The only sound was the faint hum of the refrigerator. "Riley," I asked gently. He didn't answer. I approached cautiously, setting my purse down. "What happened?" He turned his head slowly, his eyes hollow. "My father's been removed." I froze. Removed? Overthrown. Quietly. Politically. They called it a restructuring of the sovereign command. But we both know what that means. I sat beside him. "They're blaming you," he nodded. "They say I compromised the legacy. That I weakened our bloodline by imprinting with an outsider. That my emotions made me unreliable." I reached for his hand, but he didn't move. "They've frozen my assets in that world," he continued. "Most of my personal fortune here still exists because I transferred it to you. But back home, I'm no longer the heir. I'm no longer anything." I squeezed his hand. "You're still everything to me." He finally looked at me, and I saw the flicker of something buried. Beneath the sadness, gratitude, devotion, fear. "I never wanted to bring you into this," he said quietly. "And yet here we are," I replied. He smiled barely. "Yeah, here we are." That night, we lay together without speaking, his arms wrapped around me like a shield, and mine around him like a lifeline. But while our bodies were still, our minds were racing, because Riley had just lost a kingdom, and I was the reason why. The next blow came in the form of a letter. It wasn't delivered by mail. It was simply waiting on the kitchen counter one morning. No return address, no handwriting, just a single white envelope with my name on it. "Nina." I opened it slowly. Inside was a message typed, cold, sterile. "You have 1 week. Break the imprint. Leave him, or we'll remove you both." There was no signature. Showed it to Riley immediately. He read it in silence. Then he calmly folded it and tossed it into the sink, lighting a match and letting it burn. "Who sent it?" I asked. "Someone high up. Someone who thinks they're still protecting the realm. We have to do something." "We are," he said, eyes dark. "We're going to stay together." The next few days were chaos disguised as calm. We went out in public more, walked in parks, shopped at bookstores, ate greasy street food. Every moment was a declaration: we are real, we're here, and we are not afraid. But I was afraid. Not of them, of Riley. He was changing slowly, quietly, but undeniably. He was angrier, more protective, paranoid. He installed a biometric scanner on the front door, upgraded our phones to something military grade, refused to let me go anywhere. Alone, he tracked my location not because he didn't trust me, but because he didn't trust the world. And then one day I came home and found the living room empty, but the bedroom door locked. I knocked. Riley. Silence. I knocked again. Louder. Riley. Open the door. Still nothing. I dug out the emergency override he'd shown me once and keyed it in. The door clicked open. Ah! And there he was, kneeling on the floor, surrounded by what looked like broken tech. His hands were trembling, covered in blood from a deep cut on his palm. I ran to him. Riley, what happened? He looked up dazed. They sent a message. What do you mean? He turned the remains of a silver device toward me. A memory override. Trigger. They wanted me to forget you. My blood ran cold. What? It was disguised as a diagnostic tool. When I plugged it in, it started wiping sections of my mind. Everything connected to you. I knelt beside him and wrapped my arms around him. You stopped it barely. I bandaged his hand in silence. He watched me with glassy eyes. They're trying to erase us, he whispered, like we never happened. I stared at him, then we won't let them. That weekend we ran. Not far, just to a cabin Riley owned in the mountains. No signals, no surveillance, just trees and snow and silence. We spent 3 days away from everything. We cooked together. We watched the fire. We sat in silence, legs tangled beneath blankets. Like if we stopped moving, we'd disappear. And on the last night, he pulled out a small ring box. I blinked. Riley, I know it's fast. I know it's insane. I know we've barely had a normal day since we met, but I love you. And if they're going to take everything else from me, they're not taking you too. He opened the box. Inside was a ring, not a diamond, not traditional, just a band made of some kind of polished white metal with a faint glow to it. It's from my world, he said. Unbreakable, unless the wearer lies. I smiled. Of course it is. I'm not asking. You two marry me tomorrow or next month. Just wear it. Let them see it. Let them know we're not backing down. I took the ring, slid it onto my finger, felt the warmth pulse through it like a second heartbeat, and then I kissed him hard, long, certain. I'm not going anywhere, Riley. He smiled, relief washing over him. Good. The next morning, the storm came. Not a literal storm, though. Oh, the sky did darken, and the air turned electric. It was a presence. I woke to the sound of cracking branches. Riley was already dressed, standing by the window. They found us, he said softly. Outside, a single figure stood at the edge of the clearing, tall, cloaked, unmoving. Riley grabbed my hand. Stay behind me. We stepped outside. The wind whipped. Around us, the figure didn't move. Then he spoke. Riley James, you've broken the covenant. Riley stood tall, and rewrite it. You've sacrificed a throne for a mortal. She's more than mortal. The figure raised a hand. Ash! A shimmer of light rippled through the air. Nina White, you have been declared an anomaly. You are hereby given one final offer. Leave him, and your world remains untouched. Refuse, and we sever the link. What does that mean? I asked, voice steady. You will forget, the figure said. Everything. Him this. All of it. You'll wake up in your apartment alone, as if he never existed. My stomach turned. Riley stepped forward. If she forgets me, I'll break the veil. I'll bring our worlds into war. The figure paused. You would do that? I would do worse. Silence stretched. Then the figure lowered his hand. So be it, he said, and vanished. We didn't speak for a long time after that. We sat on the porch watching the sunrise, knowing we had just made a choice that would follow us forever. They won't stop, I said. Finally, no, Riley agreed. They won't. So what do? He turned to me. We make a life, a real one. Not borrowed, not paid for, ours. And just like that, we made a decision. We wouldn't run anymore. Wouldn't hide. We would build something permanent together, even if the universe tried to tear us apart. We returned to the city knowing we weren't safe, but this time we weren't running. We were choosing to stand still, choosing us. Riley and I moved into a new place. Not because we were hiding, but because our old apartment had become a beacon for everyone who wanted to watch us break. Cameras, drones, curious neighbors with too many questions and not enough boundaries. We chose a penthouse overlooking the skyline, high enough to see the stars, quiet enough to hear ourselves think. For a few days, it felt like we were living a fantasy again. But reality has claws, and it was waiting for us. It began with static. Our phones started glitching, lights flickered, dishes cracked in half without being touched. My computer crashed with a message across the screen I couldn't read. Characters like ribbons twisting through space. I turned to Riley. "What is happening?" He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "They're collapsing the bridge, the portal." He nodded. "No, it's their final move. The bridge closes for good. There's no going back. Not ever." I stared at him. "What does that mean for you?" He paused. "I wasn't born here, Nina, which means I might not survive without the connection." My blood turned cold. "Are you saying you'll die?" "Not instantly, but my body draws on both worlds. It adapts. If that link vanishes, I lose balance. My cells, my organs, they'll fail." I gripped the counter behind me. "How long? Days? Maybe less." My voice cracked. "You knew this was coming?" He looked away. I hoped they wouldn't go that far. Covered my mouth. My heart pounded in my ears. Wait. So they're making me choose. "You are Earth." "No," he said gently. "They're making me choose. You are home, and I already chose. But Riley, if you stay and die, it was worth it. Loving you was worth it." "No," I snapped. "Not like this. There has to be a way. A tether, a compromise." He shook his head. "They won't allow one, not anymore." I turned away, pacing. Then I said something that scared even me. "What if I go?" He froze. "What? What if I leave this world behind? Follow you through the last sliver of the bridge. Live on your side." He stared at me. "Nina, you don't know what you're saying?" "I do." "Yes. Your world is different, but people are still people. And I've never belonged here anyway. You belong with me." His voice was hoarse. "But going there means surrendering your entire identity. They'll rewrite you, erase your records here, your name, your past, your memories. They'll adapt you too. Fit, you'll be changed. I don't care. You will," he warned. "The air is different. The language, the rules. You'll forget what French fries taste like. You'll lose your favorite songs. You'll start to dream in shapes instead of words." I stepped forward. "I'll wake up next to you." His voice broke. "Yes, then it's enough." He didn't answer. Just pulled me into his arms and held me like he was trying to memorize every piece of me. The next day, the sky cracked. Not literally, but everything felt wrong. The color of light, the buzz in the air. The city slowed like it sensed a tremor. Before the quake, Riley's contact sent word the bridge would collapse in 24 hours. We had to decide. That night, we went to the place where it all started, the old observatory. The shimmer in the air was still there, but thinner, flickering, like a candle struggling to hold its flame. I held Riley's hand tightly. "Last chance." He looked at me. "You're sure?" I nodded. "I love you. I'm done pretending this life matters without you." He pulled me close, kissed me once, long and soft, and full of every goodbye we didn't want. To say then, he reached into his pocket and handed me a pill. "What's this?" "Memory anchor," he said. "If something goes wrong, if you forget who you are on the other side, this will bring it back. You just have to want it." I clutched it. Got it. Together, we stepped into the shimmer, and the world fell away. Waking up in his world was like being born and dying at the same time.
Ow.
I couldn't see, not in the way I used to. Light had weight. Hair had texture. My body felt foreign, like it belonged to someone else. I opened my mouth to speak and found no voice, no words. Riley was beside me, holding my hand, guiding me through what felt like endless corridors of memory and sensation. They called it reframing. For the first week, I barely remembered my name. I remembered Riley. I always remembered Riley. But my own life, my job, my favorite food, gone. Then one night I opened my palm and found the pill he'd given me. I stared at it, felt the whisper of earth in my mind. Snow, coffee, traffic, my old apartment, the broken laptop he replaced, the way he looked at me when we first met, like I was something sacred. I swallowed the pill, and suddenly it all rushed back. I gasped, collapsing into him. He caught me, tears spilling down his face. "You came back," he whispered. "I never left." We were bonded after that, officially. Not in a chapel, not with vows, but with something deeper. The imprint finalized under their laws. Fusion of energy, memory, soul. Two people from different dimensions made permanent. The council tried to block it, tried to argue, but it was too late. I wasn't just Riley's anymore. I was theirs, a legend, the first human to survive the passage and keep her mind. They called me Anchor. They said I'd change the future. I didn't care. All I cared about was the man beside me. Years passed differently on his side, slower in some ways, sharper in others. We built a life together in a way that felt like storytelling. Everything we touched, furniture, music, light, it all carried pieces of us. We grew gardens that shimmered in moonlight. We danced to instruments made of sound and gravity. We whispered jokes that only we could understand, sometimes late. At night, he would hold my hand and ask, "Would you do it all again?" And I'd say yes, every time. But one day I woke up, and something was wrong. Riley wasn't in bed. I searched the house, the garden, the studio. Then I found him on the balcony. His face was pale, his eyes unfocused. "What's wrong?" I asked, rushing to him. Looked at me slowly. "The bridge. What about it?" "It's reopening." I blinked. "That's impossible. It was supposed to collapse," he said, confused. "But now they're calling it a rebalance." "What does that mean?" "They're building new gates, legal ones, permanent ones, interdimensional exchange." I stepped back. "So now people can cross freely, eventually?" "Yes, maybe even visit, trade, study." I stared at the horizon and Earth. "It's part of the network now. Recognized, protected." I laughed softly. "Of course, now that I've already given it all up." He turned to me, serious. "I can go back, Nina." I froze. "What?" "If you want. Just to visit, to say goodbye, to see what's changed." I didn't speak for a long time, and finally I said, "Only if you come with me." He smiled. "Deal." Years later, we stood in a crowd in downtown New York. No one knew who we were. It's two people holding hands in the middle of a busy city, like the past never happened. We ate pretzels from a cart. We watched children play in fountains. And when the sun began to set, he looked at me and said, "We still don't fit here." I nodded. "But that's okay." Then we disappeared back into the shimmer, back into the life we built from nothing, across dimensions, across time. Because sometimes love doesn't need a world to live in. It creates one.